Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Colin Lawson and I'm the founder here at Equilibrium. And today I want to talk a little bit about psychology, about human behaviour. And first of all, I am no expert on this subject whatsoever. Just want to share a couple of ideas, want to share how I see things, and hopefully it might be useful to you, your friends, your family. I just wanted to put it out there. And I've put on the board that we're human doings. We're called human beings, but let's face it, none of us like to be. Most of us have a bias towards taking action, towards doing things. And when we think about the initial reaction to the virus, we started off, or if you're anything like me, then you started off thinking, this is something happening far away to people that I don't know, and it seems to be under control. What's all the fuss about? And then it starts to get a little bit closer to home. It starts to seem to develop. And all of a sudden, once we start to see it in Europe and we see what Italy's done, our level of certainty about that belief just starts to drop. It starts to build and build and build. Then we see it coming into the UK. Then we get the new government guidance. And it seems like the news flow at the moment is absolutely relentless. Naturally, by the very definition of this virus, the statistics every day are going to be worse than they were the day before. And so our certainty about our own health, our certainty about the health of our families just continues to build. And we start to feel a little bit out of control with what's going on. And then we have the knock-on effect that we then start to see it impacting markets. And we haven't seen volatility like this in markets pretty much forever. And again, our certainty is taking a huge bashing, and our desire for control starts to lead us to want to take action. It creates this action bias that I need to do something about it. What can I do today to build back up a little bit certainty, to feel as though I'm doing something that actually makes me feel more in control? And I think the biggest example that we've seen of that has to be the good old-fashioned bog roll and pasta scenario that we've got going on at the moment. All of a sudden, we see somebody stockpiling on bog roll and stockpiling on pasta. We've no idea at this stage why they're doing it, but they're doing something. And we're thinking, what do they know that I don't know? That seems like a good idea. I'll go and stockpile on bog roll and pasta. And before you know it, the shelves are empty. And as humans, wanting a bit of control, wanting action bias, as soon as the shelves get restocked, we all instantly dive in. Still not sure why we're doing it, because no one said supermarkets are going to close. No one said we're actually going to be forced to stay in our houses and never leave. I think that's very unrealistic here in the UK. But we're perceived to be doing something. Then more recently, and what we're going to see over the next couple of days, is increasing job losses. We saw Virgin yesterday. I mentioned suggesting that their staff, or telling their staff, I think, to take 8 weeks unpaid leave over the next 3 months. We saw the Carphone warehouse jobless coming out, which, by the way, as they said, is unrelated. That's just putting some bad news out while no one's going to be really focusing on it. But allegedly, the number that I heard, I've got no fact check on this at all, was that potentially 1 million people were made redundant or out of work yesterday. I'm told that there are over 3 million people working in the hospitality industry, in pubs and restaurants and bars. And how sustainable is it that they're going to keep hold of their income? And that's where the government really does need to step in to help create some certainty back in there. We saw the French government yesterday, and we've been desperately trying to find out exactly what they've said and how they're going to implement it, but basically coming out and saying that no business will fail as a result of this. And some massive emergency measures, largely that I was referring to and hoping for yesterday in this whole shock and awe of financial stimulus that I think that we need to get us through that. And all of this starts to escalate. It's the job losses that we hear about other people. Then obviously we're worried about our family, then we're worried about our friends, our relatives. How is everybody going to get through this? And from that perspective, the level of uncertainty that we're facing right now is above and beyond anything that I think that most of us have experienced in our lifetimes. And normally you're going through periods like this and you'll be like, oh, do you know what, let's go to Spain next week. Or it's Friday, let's go to the pub. Or let's go out for a nice meal. And unfortunately now, to make it even worse, we've got to the point where fun has just been cancelled. All of a sudden we can't do any of that to relieve all of this pressure and this strain. What we see in the action bias in markets is that clients that might just want to say, and luckily almost none have done this, I want to go to cash tomorrow. Why? Because by going to cash reduces some of this relentless noise that you've got. I can take out one of these things here. Even if it's a ridiculous thing to do, even if it proves to be the wrong thing to do in the future, I can take some of that out. And therefore I've created more certainty than before. And I suppose one of the reasons for going through it and for sharing this is that we've all got to be very careful that all of this doesn't lead to irrational behaviour. So is buying bog roll and pasta irrational? I think it is personally. But if that's the worst thing that you can do, that's fine. But we do need to think carefully, think calmly and rationally about any big decisions that we're making, and just be aware of all of these issues that might be driving that thought process. I have a different level of certainty when it comes to markets. I am absolutely certain that 5 years from now, markets will be significantly higher than they are today. I don't know that for a fact, but I personally have that certainty. I can look back over the last 5 years, and even now, with the markets at their lows that they're at today, and I'm going to be talking in another video about how we actually value markets today and how we value companies today in this unique circumstances, that even over the last 5 years, then portfolios have still beaten cash and deposit. Portfolios are still positive. And I do believe that this will pass. So I think we all just need to be careful, be patient, not to get too overwhelmed as we've cancelled all fun and instead we're sat at home catching up on Sky News 24/7 about how bad things are. So things will get better. Just wanted to share it. Do with it as you wish. Hopefully it's useful.